Hey everyone! Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and to me, one of the best things to receive is chocolate. Even better, homemade chocolates. This week, I'm going to show you a few different chocolate truffles that you can make that will wow your Valentine. Or you can just eat them yourself. I won't judge. I've put together 4 different types of chocolate truffles: dulce de leche, chocolate orange ganache, a coffee-flavored mochi, and a chili ganache. There's quite a bit to cover, so let's get started. This is my most favorite chocolate combination. This recipe is actually from Anne Reardon of the YouTube channel How to Cook That. She made a few videos on how to make different truffles, and when I saw the orange chocolate ones, I knew I had to make them. If you want to see some more different flavors of truffles, here's a link to that video. You should also check out some of her other videos, they're pretty great. To make the orange ganache filled chocolate, you'll need 2 oranges, about 4 ounces of chocolate, white chocolate shavings, and additional tempered chocolate. You can check out Anne Reardon's video on how and why to temper chocolate here. Zest both of the oranges and then squeeze their juice into a small pot. Throw that onto the stove and boil for about 6 minutes. Pour through a strainer. Pour 2 tablespoons of the reduced juice over the chocolate and stir until melted. Microwave in 10-second intervals if it needs a little more help to melt. Pour into a container lined with nonstick paper and put it into the fridge to firm up for a few hours. Take it out of the fridge and let sit for about 5 minutes to let the ganache soften a little bit. Cut into bite-sized pieces. Here you can see what happens if you try to cut them apart when it's still too cold. It kind of shatters rather than cutting nicely. Before we start dipping them, use a vegetable peeler to make shavings of the white chocolate. Alright, dipping time. Take a piece of ganache and dunk it into your melted chocolate. Use a fork to help coat it completely, and then remove it from the chocolate, tapping the excess back into the container. Place onto a non-stick surface. I used a silicone baking sheet, but you can also just use parchment paper. Top it with the white chocolate shavings. Let them harden and you're done. So good. To make the dulce de leche filled chocolates, you'll need a candy mold. If you like the candy mold that I used, then I'll add an affiliate link in the description box below to these molds that I used: dulce de leche and additional tempered chocolate. Here's an easy way to make dulce de leche. Take a can of sweetened condensed milk, remove the label, and put it in a pot. Pour water in until the can is submerged about 2/3 of the way. Bring to a boil and let boil for 3 hours. You'll want to check on this often, about every 15 to 30 minutes, to check the water level. Just top off the water whenever needed. You absolutely do not want the water to completely evaporate, or else the can will explode. Not that I'm speaking from experience or anything. Anyway, after about 3 hours, remove the pan that you totally started off with and isn't a completely different pot because you happen to explode a can in the other one from the heat, and let it cool. Once the can is cooled off, remove it from the water and crack it open to see how it turned out. On to the candy making. Pour the tempered chocolate into the molds. Tap it on the counter a few times and then turn it over and shake the extra chocolate back into the container. Scrape the chocolate off of the top of the mold and set it aside to harden. You can stick it in the fridge to speed this process up. Pipe dulce de leche into the hardened molds. Take care not to overfill them. Pour your chocolate over and then scrape the excess off again. Set aside and let it harden. Once they've hardened, you can pop them out of the molds, and they're done. To make the chili ganache chocolates, you'll need half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. You can adjust this according to taste. Some people like them really spicy, some people don't. 4 ounces of bittersweet chocolate broken into pieces, 2 tablespoons of heavy cream, and additional tempered chocolate. I doubled the recipe for this video, so the amount I'm making will look like a lot. Mix the heavy cream into the chili powder. Heat in the microwave for 30 seconds. Mix it and then heat it again for another 20 seconds. Pour over the chocolate and stir. If it doesn't melt all the way, microwave it in 10-second increments until it's melted. Pour the ganache into a container lined with non-stick paper. Stick it into the fridge for a few hours to let it set. Take it out and let it sit on the counter for about 5 minutes until it's a little soft. Cut into bite-sized pieces. I cut mine into triangle shapes because I tried to pull the ganache out of the container while it was still too hard and it cracked diagonally. So I just went along with that. I stuck these back into the fridge to firm up again while I got my chocolate ready. Once they firmed up a bit more, it was time to start dipping. I dipped them into the chocolate, tapped the excess off, and placed onto a non-stick surface. As a little design element, I ran a fork over the top to create little grooves. Set them aside and let them harden, and then you're done. This one might seem weird to some people. I was inspired to come up with this recipe because I bought some chocolate mochi from an Asian market a while ago, and I thought it was going to be a soft, chewy mochi, but with a chocolate center instead of a normal red bean paste center. Imagine my surprise when it ended up being a hard chocolate candies with a mochi center. But sadly, they weren't that great. The chocolate was bad quality, and the tiny chunks of mochi in the middle were hard, not chewy like you'd expect. So when I was coming up with these recipes for this video, I decided it was the perfect opportunity to try to recreate those things. I decided to make this mochi coffee flavored. To make the mochi-filled chocolates, you'll need half a cup of glutinous rice flour or sweet rice flour, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 3/4 of a teaspoon of cocoa powder, a pinch of salt, half a cup of cooled coffee. If you want to make it plain, then you can use water instead of coffee, cornstarch for dusting, and additional tempered chocolate. First things first, prepare your chocolate mold. Just like before, pour in a bunch of chocolate, tap it on the counter, dump the chocolate out, and scrape the excess off the top of the mold. Set this aside to harden while you prepare the mochi. The rice flour I have is in big chunks like this, and even though I've successfully made mochi with it like this, I decided to toss it into a mortar and pestle to grind it up into a fine powder, to make it like the glutinous rice flour that I've seen other people use. Whisk together the glutinous rice flour, sugar, cocoa powder, and salt into a microwave-safe bowl. Slowly whisk in the coffee and mix until completely combined. Cover with a plastic wrap, but leave a tiny bit uncovered so steam can escape. Microwave for 1.5 minutes. Remove the plastic wrap and use a wooden spoon to work the dough for about a minute. Put the plastic wrap back on and microwave for another minute. Work the dough some more for about 3 minutes. The more you work it, the chewier it will be. Sprinkle some cornstarch onto a surface and dump the dough out. Roll it into a log shape, and then cut into bite-sized pieces. The size you cut is really dependent on the size of your molds. You want them to fit, but not to be sticking out too much. I ended up having to cut these way smaller than I intended to. I ended up having quite a bit of extra mochi. You can just cut them up and set them aside until you pop these chocolates out and prepare the mold for more. Alternatively, you could just dip these into chocolate instead of using a mold. Anyway, stick your mochi pieces into your mold, trying to shake off as much of the extra cornstarch as you can. As you can see here, I did a totally great job of doing that. Top with more melted chocolate. Tap it on the counter a few times, and then scrape the extra chocolate back into the container. Stick it in the fridge to harden, pop them out of the molds, and then you're done. You can stick these into some mini cupcake liners and then put them into a box, and bam, an awesome gift for your special someone. If you like this little heart box I put mine in, I'm gonna post a video on how to make some next week. I hope you like this video. I hope you can make some of these chocolates and enjoy them with your special someone. Again, if you want to see how you can make your own heart-shaped box to display your chocolates in, then click right here. I'll leave a link to the video. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more, then feel free to subscribe. I post DIY videos every Thursday. You can follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, or Pinterest, and I'll leave the information for those down below. If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, please leave a comment down below, and I'll see you next week.